Baby, let's go. Oh, new week, new me. Woo. You know?
New Nuggets?
New week, new me, new Nuggets, I believe. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pregame show. Let's go. Presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We're also in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. You see them on the logo right here. My favorite car company, Toyota. Nuggets are in Toronto. They're in a whole different country. They had to leave the country to reset the vibes. In Toronto to take on the lowly Raptors, although the Raptors could say they're hosting the lowly Nuggets at the moment. Both fan bases would be accurate, and we're going to break it all down. We've got what's the worst thing that's happened around the league. I have some funny, dumb things, including Dwayne Wade's statue. That should be a fun segment.
Yeah.
We're going to give some hangover takes. We're going to bet on the game. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. And to help me out, Brendan Votes here.
Man, I went to my first ever Denver Broncos game yesterday.
That's right.
And I saw a win. I'm on a roll. I saw my first ever Broncos win at the DNVR bar 2 weeks ago, or 2 games ago.
Wait, at the bar? You never saw a Broncos game here?
First Broncos win. First Broncos win at the bar.
First Broncos win. You're like, no, I saw a lot of Broncos.
I tried, yeah. And then I went for a win in person. And what a treat, man. I will say, did look pretty cool in there. Very orange. Not a ton of Panthers fans. So it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, telling you, Broncos fans, they're legit. I mean, Dev knows all about that. Superstar Dev.
I mean, I'm just ready. I'm ready for the season to begin. And maybe today is the day. It's a new week. The third time is the charm. We're ready. This is the time.
Remember when we were like, we hate the preseason. Bring on the regular season.
Yeah.
Kind of missed the preseason.
I'm missing the preseason.
I didn't even
either.
like the preseason.
Yeah. It's just season debut tonight. Here we go.
I'm telling you, I feel good, though. I feel good about tonight. Knock on wood. I feel good about it. The vibes. If you just charted the Nuggets through games, there is an upward trajectory. Does that continue tonight? We'll find out. First, game notes.
Well, my first game note is that Adam always says the Nuggets and Broncos can't be good at the same time.
Oh, no!
So don't hold your breath.
Oh, no.
My other game notes.
The week starts on Monday, though. That's a whole new week, right?
That's right. So we'll start with injury report stuff for the Nuggets. It's still just the mile-high flyer. Duran Holmes II, still ground bound, of course. PJ Hall.
I absolutely. Please do that every time.
I'm going to, yep.
I absolutely love it.
PJ Hall, Spencer Jones are with the G League. Trey Alexander's still with the team, worth noting. On the Toronto Raptors side of things, RJ Barrett will make his season debut against the Denver Nuggets tonight.
It's a big addition.
Injury/illness he's been dealing with. The injury, right shoulder AC joint sprain, but he is available in Toronto against the Nuggets. How about an old friend? Bruce Brown is out, of course. Right knee arthroscopic surgical procedure. So he's out. And Kelly Olynyk is out as well with a lumbar strain, with a back issue. It's a lumbar strain. So and Emmanuel Quickley is out as well with a right pelvic contusion. So the Raptors are down some guys, and but they will get RJ Barrett back in this one.
So the Raptors are not good and down some guys, although they do get RJ Barrett back, who has been a challenge for the Nuggets. Could be a good Peyton Watson assignment, maybe an Aaron Gordon assignment. Dev, they beat the Cavs, or they lost to the Cavs. They got blown out on opening night. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers, who were missing all their two main guys, and then they got beat by 11 by the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's them. So, I mean, on paper, even though it's the first road game of the year, this is one I feel like the Nuggets can and should win.
For sure. And, I mean, it's easy to come from the mindset or the light of the Raptors are not good, but Denver hasn't been that good to start out the year. So this is like not even a get right spot. This is a try to win a game and get back to comfortable. Try to find something that sticks. Another game under their belt where they're trying to build that chemistry and try to get on the right page. And a team like the Raptors that's banged up, not that good, that's where you try to do that. So I hope that this is a spot that they take very serious, and we've seen them in these letdown type of spots take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
We did get some Michael Malone quotes as well, fellas, if you want to hear them. These are coming to us via our guy Bennett Durando at the Post.
Shout out Bennett.
Shout out Bennett. If you look at our starting lineup, Malone said, our offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating, it's really good. Obviously, we're trying to figure out our bench right now. That's obvious to anybody watching our team. And that is an understatement, even though he said the word obvious twice. Still an understatement. Although it's worth noting, I think, fellas, that starting lineup is supposed to be good. The starting lineup's actually supposed to dominate so that you can sort of mitigate some of those.
I think it has, though.
Yeah.
It's, I think, a plus 14, which the starting lineup last year was a plus 13.9.
Okay.
Net rating after 2 games is kind of silly. But, I mean, statistically.
Yeah, sure. It just feels like particularly Michael Porter Jr. and even Aaron Gordon, a little bit left on the bone there. But Michael Malone
definitely some meat on the bone there.
As an understatement. Malone did touch on the different rotation in game 2, which I did like him trying, fellas. He said he staggered MPJ with the second unit to space the floor and give them different looks. He also mentioned that it allowed Jamal to stay in a rhythm. He referred to Murray's usual sub pattern as choppy last week. And then finally from Malone, the Nuggets have been pretty good defensively, fellas, and he said we've got to maintain the defensive side of things until our shots start going in, and it's not just the three-point shooting. I think we're third in the league in generating rim attempts, but dead last in finishing at the rim, and that's our entire team. It's not just one player or 2 players.
The play of the game on that regard last game was, you remember Westbrook blows by the defense, gets to the rim, and has the worst layup ever. Sarge grabs it and then hits it off the bottom of the backboard. It was like 2 open shots at the rim that Denver had 2, not just misses, hilariously bad misses.
Those piss off everyone too. Like they're deflating. Like with the energy, you're trying to build something. You already are down on the bench, and then those happen 2 times in a row. Then the other one is the Peyton Watson when he like tried to dunk. So like you're like, dang, this bench unit just don't have it. They don't have it.
Oh, that blown tire, man.
Yeah.
Last year Peyton would have dunked that thing so hard.
Yeah,
totally. So all right, I fellas, I'm really looking forward to this one because I think maybe a little RJ Barrett, just a little Canadian connection, Jamal being close to home, just a little something. Hey, let's get it going, man. Let's get the juices flowing. I thought he took a step in the right direction in that last game. And a win would go a long way, boys. A long way for everyone involved in this thing.
It absolutely would. I think if we kind of go to hangover takes now, because I think the hangover takes will lead us into some discussion about tonight. You know, rewatch the other does the hang. I love that graphic. Every time it comes up, it makes me so happy. As I rewatched the game, I actually, believe it or not, rewatched that one twice. Once kind of late at night, kind of going through, just taking in a second, and then once today, going real carefully through everything. And I got to say, my number one takeaway that I'm a little surprised by, I actually thought Jamal Murray was much better in that last game than I gave him credit for on the postgame show. I was hard on him. I told him, I said, like, he was good. I said something like he was good. I actually think Jamal had a pep in his step both ways, offensively and defensively, that I think is very important. Even in the minutes where he didn't play with Jokic, I thought his mind frame and approach was correct. He was aggressive with the ball. He didn't make his shots, and some of the shots he missed were, in and out. Like, I'm not worried about him that much. I would be worried much more if they were looking horrible or whatever, but at least that part of it, which is a huge part of this, Jamal, on rewatch, I felt a lot better about his game.
I mean, that's a positive. Like,
it's a big. We're reaching, man.
That is, and that's a big reach because we know that when Jamal is at his best or when he's playing well, that's when the Nuggets start to play well. So if he's like going off of that curve and starting to push towards playing the right way, that changes everything. That like turns around the outlook of this team. That turns around the energy around this team. And I mean, it's early in the season. We've already know that he's a slow starter, especially in the regular season. Maybe that's just a step in the right direction.
He had a rough last 90 seconds. Not even all of it was his fault.
That one play was tough, though.
The one play taking it to the left when Jokic was probably about as hot as he'll ever be from three-point range and he was open. It was tough. But, I mean, even some of the Norman Powell buckets that felt like, okay, maybe Murray should have been there. Those were tough buckets, man. Murray even ran him off the line once, and there was a dribble step back for that last one, and Powell was just hotter than the sun. So Murray needs to be great, of course, not just good. But what I love the most, he got that rally started with the step back 3 over Zubats, and Denver needed a bucket, and it was a way we haven't seen in maybe a little bit of Murray just going, don't worry, I got it. And he got the whole thing started. So I like the way he's shooting, at least from distance, and his confidence was trending up.
And even that play that we're talking about, in the clutch one, look, I mean, it was a bad play. He gets blocked at the rim. But to his defense, I thought Derrick Jones Jr. made a fantastic play on that in the pick and roll to wall off the pass back to Yoke. I think in that moment you want to just make sure you get a good shot, so maybe dribbling out. But I don't think the passing angle, because that's what I thought too, is like Yoke's wide open. But as he turned the corner, Derrick Jones Jr., who's a very good defender, super athletic, uses his length to his advantage really well, and Zubac's obviously is good at the rim. When I went back and watched that play, I was like, man, that was tough. That was just great defense, and he kind of got lured into something. But I thought he was good. The other person that I thought was a little bit better, and this one I don't feel quite as much confident about, Dario Saric, who I've said I think the Nuggets maybe have to go away from. I still think that's a possibility down the road. What I will say is that he did a lot of things to help set the table for Russell Westbrook. Now, he didn't score on his mismatches at all, and he threw up some shots that made me think, like, you remember that post-up he had? They gave him one-on-one coverage. I can't even remember who it was, but it wasn't a big. And he goes to the basket and throws up a hook shot that was so off that you were like, that was never going in. That was rough. And his defense is rough, but I think the team actually left him out to dry. One of the things, when I watch the Thunder and watch some of these good teams right now defensively, they're on a string. They know their assignment. They know, like, okay, here's what we're doing against this guy, against that guy. Denver in that game, and I highlighted some of this on Twitter if you want to go check it out, Denver in that game did not do a good job of helping him. They would screen, and the Denver's scheme calls for them to put two on ball so that he can recover, so they never get switched out onto an island, and use the athleticism behind him. They have Peyton Watson, you have Julian Strawther, you have Russell Westbrook, you have Michael Porter, you have guys with length, and Peyton multiple times left him out to dry on accident. You can even see one possession where Peyton's like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to trap. Oh, I'm too late now. And if you put James Harden on Dario Saric with spacing, he's going to score him 100 out of 100 times. And it wasn't, as I watched it, I was like, you know what? Denver can do a better job of executing their game plan. I don't know if he can handle that game plan, but at least on the tape, I was like, it's not Saric's fault that he's on an island with Harden there.
Yeah, but is that on coaching now to, like, call out that player or to, like, come to his defense and say, no, you made that right decision, just to, like, put it in his mind that you are still making the right plays? Because we know when it comes to the NBA or just being a professional athlete, it's a lot about confidence. It's a lot about not getting in your own head. So maybe just coming out and saying, like, hey, some guys left our guys out to dry. Or, like, you know, like, I just feel like with Dario, a new guy on the team that's making different type of rotations or filling a different type of role, I think that would go a long way of just trying to make sure that he feels welcomed. And then also, like, I think that they have to do, like, a bit more of going to his strengths. We haven't seen him with his strength, which is put the ball in his hands and let him operate, make everything happen around them. We've saw these other ways that have not went well with the second unit. So I think that maybe give that a try. Like, just, I feel like there should be different type of looks until you find one that sticks.
And that second unit in particular, Vo, it's always going to be risky with them. They are always going to be vulnerable to big runs. And what compounds big runs is bad decision-making on the offensive end. Like, you got to trust your defense in the half court, but offensively, it's going to be so hard. What do they have, a 50-something offensive rating? What was the number? It was something ridiculous. Have you seen the non-Jokic, when Jokic is off, like 50, which is hard to do.
Oh, my God.
That's honestly hard to do. What happened? Oh, thought he was talking to us. No, it's honestly hard to do. And when I look at that, Aaron Gordon took a quick three. Russell Westbrook took a quick three. Russell Westbrook took a Dirk fallaway air ball with 20 seconds on the clock. Like, Peyton Watson took a one dribble from the baseline, step in, take a 15-footer. You don't want guys to be anxious about shooting, but at the same time, other teams on a 9-0 run, this is an important possession. Let's make sure we are at least, like, making them work. Let's not walk it up and take the first bad look we get. And I just think that's something Denver's bench can do a lot better job of tonight.
Yeah, and look, they might just be bad no matter what look they run and how long they stick with it. So I'm not going to try to give it time. I think everyone's tired of hearing that for the bench in general. But they sure looked like a group that had never played together, with Porter in there and Watson missing all of training camp, not just preseason games, but literally training camp. So they looked that way. I liked that Malone tried something new.
I do too.
But I do think then they need to, like, get used to playing with each other. And look, Russell Westbrook is not going to take notes from someone like me, nor do I think he's listening. But I think he gets to play his position now, which is point guard. but it's like, but be a point guard. You don't necessarily have to take 12 shots off the bench. I know part of it he's trying to drive and create something and cause the defense to react, but maybe as much as it's great that he gets to be on ball in Denver, get off ball, not to go spot up, but so that Saric can make something happen, or you can cut, or, so maybe just a bit more of an egalitarian approach from Russ off the bench. Really, it's been a brutal start.
Sensing the moment too, man. Just like, when is it the moment for you to be Russ coast to coast? And when is it, they're on a 7-0 run and we're not getting anything? Let's not give them a transition opportunity off of a quick shot. Let's make them work. Let's try process, and let's see if we get there. And I just think that sense for the bench. I mean, a lot of the stuff when you go on rewatch, some of it is defensive rotation shouldn't be as bad as they are. I mean, Denver needs to clean up because other teams are far ahead of them in that regard. But some of it is just like, hey, new unit, some of it's understandable, and my hope is that every game we kind of see a little bit more out of those guys. One guy who I actually thought looked bad or worse on rewatch, and people are gonna get mad at me for saying this because he was phenomenal. He was the king of the game. He was all those things. But Yoke's defense was pretty rough in that one, and I think it's been rough in 2 games now. And some of this is understandable. I believe that he's going to have to shoot more than ever, including threes and including more aggressive and a harder challenge. It's kind of a pain for him that he's going to have to work even harder than he did in the MVP seasons offensively. But defensively, there is, like, you can count on your teammates a little bit, but I thought there were a couple plays that were Yoke plays where defense did its job and then Yoke kind of let things go in a way where it's like, you gotta just lay up that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every young guy and center in this league is going to try to go at Jokic, and they're going to get up for the challenge in those type of games. I think that it's on Jokic to meet them, in that. Because while he's dishing, they're trying to dish it back to him because that's like the barometer. I feel like he has to do better at, like, just answering that question of, I could be a better defender. I can be a good defender. I take pride into just not getting destroyed. I'm going to do the destroying around here. So I think that that's something that he can get better at, and that's just being a person that they can't argue of him being close to anyone else. Like, I feel like he's the best player in the world, but the only thing that people say is, like, what is he doing on defense? You're giving them fuel when you do those type of things. And then also it leaves other guys out to dry where they're now having to pick up different type of rotations where they're not giving that. So I feel like at times he gets frustrated that they're not giving their all.
Yep, totally.
And they're looking back at him like, well, you also, this is what we're saying when you need to be a better leader. Lead by example. You play hard on defense as well. And that just makes you ultimately the best player in the world with no type of arguments.
Which is why I was really glad that he approached the patience question the way he did,
Really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, look, he could have been better on the glass defensively, right? And again, obviously he was their best player by a country mile, but when a guy could have given a better effort on defense, I like that he starts there rather than starting with what his teammates could have done better.
Yeah.
Well, and last thing really quickly, since we're just touching on that, the other thing about Jokic is I know it's a very nice sounding answer, and so everyone gives him class points for saying it. I also think we've covered Jokic long enough to know that that's a part of his perspective on team sports.
Yep, 100%.
There's a lot of layers before you get to who do we trade. He operates on a how do we get better, and it's not I am independent from the team. So,
and I think with regards to scoring, because I had somebody on Twitter make a very good point that, hey, hasn't Jokic becoming a scorer been bad in years past? He's always better when he's more of a passer. And I say yes. I mean, that is absolutely true. But this roster isn't the previous ones. This is the first roster that the Nuggets have had that I think is more of a defensive roster than an offensive one, honestly. And to make up for the lack of offense, Jokic's going to have to be there, and his team's going to have to carry for him a little bit on the other end, probably in ways that, hopefully balance out. But again, the offense has let Jokic down a little bit, doing their lighter lift. They're still letting him down. Michael Porter missing shots.
Sure.
A lot of this different stuff. But at the same time, he's probably a little bit below on the defensive end. So both of those things hopefully equal out as the season progresses. And then the last part on Jokic, and it's not really a Jokic thing, it's more of a team thing. They did look tired. I thought they played hard, especially after that initial knockout punch that the Clippers delivered. But it was a little concerning on a rewatch when you're just like, man, the guys are a little too tired for game number 2. I think the Nuggets, part of like what missing shots, all this stuff, I think a little bit of it has to do with, I think the Nuggets are in the bottom half of conditioning right now.
Which sucks as a group. Like, you really have so much to prove this year that you should
Yes.
The mentality should have been like, we have to get back to the top of the mountain, and that's by having peak condition. Also, this is the same issue that plagued them last year, is that they were talking about how tired they was at the end of the year and things like so. Like, do things to try to get in shape, or just like be ready for a long year, because you're now a contending team. So that you want to play like later in the playoffs. You want to have a deep playoff run and hopefully go for a championship, and that's just how you get there. So this is a wake up call type of experience. They all have new contracts. That's going to be a part of it. Like, now, like, you have to fulfill that contract, and that means being in shape and being ready to go, because you have to play at peak performance.
Yeah, I'm shocked, honestly, that they're as seemingly out of shape as they are. But Malone warned us in the preseason, so
he did warn us. That does it for the Hangover takes. But to be honest with you, my overarching take was, on careful rewatch, I actually felt a little bit better about the Nuggets than the original watch. Real quickly, we're gonna play a new game. What's the worst?
This is awesome.
I had not seen this graphic till now. This is perfect. This is exactly the game. This is exactly it. Let me judge the contestants now. 3 things have happened here. You're going to tell me what the worst one is. Our very first one. Did you guys know that the breakout star of 2024 is none other than Denver's own Jay Huff?
This is the worst.
He has gone from a two-way player who could not get on the court with the Nuggets to 13 points per game, 57.1% from 3. And by the way, he's closing games for the Grizzlies right now. And clutch, knocking down clutch three-pointers. Who saw this one coming?
No one's seen this one. Jay Huff seen this coming. He's the only one that's seen it coming.
I don't think Jay Huff saw this coming.
This is one that just keeps happening in Denver. I think that's what really bothers me the most. Like, they had Hartenstein come in and he like blew up. They had Jay Huff. They're getting good backup centers.
Yeah.
And we keep on saying the Nuggets need a good backup center.
Drippington's right. Remember the Jay Huff stand?
That's right. Yeah, the green guy from Grand
guy, man. He is living so good right now.
But like, really, like, he proved that he was good enough. Like, he's the G League MVP or something. Like, he showed that he clearly belonged, but they didn't have the opportunity to play him. And even that happens in this situation too. Like, you put them out there, and a big thing about this is, like, these are the best basketball players in the world. So, like, it's a lot about opportunity, about having the green light, about having, the time to be able to go out there and prove yourself. And he has now finally got that opportunity. So he's making the best of that opportunity.
The Thunder have the deepest team in the NBA, and in a tie game to start the fourth quarter, AJ Mitchell is on the court, a rookie. It's like some teams just try. They're just like, you know what? Let's give everybody a chance here, because we never know what we have, and we'll develop. I think that's one lesson here. Jay Huff, we thought was just like a two-way end-of-bench guy. Turns out he might be able to play. You don't get to talk Jay Huff, though, because we got to keep it moving. But you can talk about the next worst thing, which was Dwayne Wade's statue. Everybody saw this. It took basketball Twitter by storm. What the heck happened to this poor statue?
So one of the things I love most is that we have very, very visibly gotten worse at this as a culture, as a global culture.
Great take.
It just used to be not just a thing artists did, like a very big thing.
Michelangelo's pretty good at this.
There was their whole deal, and no one can do it anymore. And their excuse was like, well, we wanted to do it by hand. And I thought, well, yeah, but I thought that's what you all did.
Was Michelangelo not doing this by hand?
I thought that was the idea.
You have machinery or something?
Yeah, it's a lost art for real.
Poor Dwayne Wade, man. That's a rough statue.
I'm not gonna lie.
What was his facial expression when he pulled
it's like, oh.
His son looks back at him. Now they're trying to go out of their way and make Dwayne Wade seem like, because it showed that he like signed off on this. He was like okay with it. But also, what are you gonna say? No, do it again.
Take it back.
It's due tomorrow. Like, of course I have to say yeah. Like this.
He goes, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, like what? Like, but this was a great Twitter moment. It's like really seeing all of it. Like they're putting it on like other historical pictures and things. Like, this was awesome. Like, I loved it.
It looked like they were making Shaq, and then halfway through they're like, no, Wade, and they're like, oh crap, let's try to squish it into Wade now.
Paul Pierce, who is actually hilarious, texted Tony Allen and said, is this you?
Is this you? The last one, I'll throw this one to you, Dev. JJ Redick. Baron Davis ran into him at the car wash the other day and said JJ Redick's so committed to the game, He was watching film at the car wash.
Like, what the hell, man? And they're just trying to give him so much credit. And they even asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, I was doing that. It was back to back. Like, shut up. Like, we don't care. We truly don't care. And also, why are you at the car wash doing this? Like, do this at the arena. Do this with your people at, like, different times, not at the car wash. I hate that he's getting so much love for this.
Yeah. It is what it is. I thought those things were all terrible. I don't know which one's the worst.
The worst part.
The
for
worst
sure,
part,
yeah.
Jay Huff, our old guy. All right, let's make some bets. Our pregame picks are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5. You get $200 in bonus bets and a code to get the first 2 months of Altitude Plus, courtesy of Bet365. That's a heck of a deal. It's actually the cheapest way to sign up for Altitude Plus, to be honest with you. Disclaimer, must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, text 1-800-GAMBLER. Dev, take it away.
All right, let's get through this pretty quickly before we're done here. The Nuggets opened this one as 8.5-point favorites.
Oh boy,
that's a lot of points.
it is a lot.
This is a team that you can, play well against. I can't tell anybody to go out and take 8.5 until this team proves it. I hope that they blow them out and we could get back into that, and get into maybe that's what we look at, but I just can't do that. I am going to go with the over-under of 222.5. I'm going to go under. It's just easy for me. Until they prove that they're able to score, then I'm going to go with that until something changed. The spacing hasn't been there.
I don't like this.
Toronto is not a team that's known for their explosive offense. They have been an uptick lately, but I'm going to go with the under here.
They're long.
For the Raptors side of things, give me over 32.5 for Scotty Barnes. He does a little bit of everything, and he's their best players. He just operates by just filling up the stat sheet. He gets score, he rebounds, he assists. He just does a little bit of everything. He's pretty good. Grady Dick has also been playing pretty well as of late. Over 12.5 points. I did not see RJ Barrett on there.
You're a huge fan, man.
I'm a huge fan. He's coming off of a game that he had 25 points. And really, they don't have much scoring. It's going to be up to him to get some shots up. 12.5, it's just not enough, and he's shooting the ball well. On to Denver's side. Let's start with the shooting, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go with AG to knock down a three-pointer.
Oh,
so we're going to start with here.
I
just think that they need that type of space, and I hope that he just attacks the entire time, but he seems to take 1, 2, to 3 three-pointers a game. I think he knocks down his first one. I want to go with Michael Porter Jr., not for the three-point shot, but for his rebounding. Until his three-point shot returns, I just can't go with it.
Really?
But with the rebounding, you have to find a way to impact the game in different ways. It's not going to be defensively with him. It's not going to be with the shooting right now. It's got to be with the board. So he has to be a force on the board and affect the game in that way. So I'm going to go with over 6.5 rebounds for Michael Porter Jr.
Right.
For our defensive bet, I'm going to go with Christian Brown over 1.5 blocks plus steals. I like the both of them for insurance purposes just because he can get a little bit of
blocks
both.
last
But he
time.
also could get 2 steals as well. So 1.5 just comes easy for him. I'm going to go with the big man, Jokic over 39.5 points plus rebounds. I just like both. I think he's going to grab every board that comes his way. I hope they try to push the pace and shoot the ball more. He also can score what he wants, and I think that he's going to become a better scorer this year because it's going to be forced to. It's going to be a lot of times for that. For the lock of the game.
Let's go, baby.
There's a place to get right. It's at home. Maybe he took a
I
stroll
love this
down
one.
Victoria
This is a
Park.
good
Come
bet.
on, baby. What do we got?
Over Jamal Murray, 20.5 points.
Come on, Jamal.
I just think that he has to get back right. And
Yeah,
really,
has
home
to.
is where it counts. There's going to be some, family in the crowd. There's going to be some of friends back home and things like that make that trip. You don't get to go there often. Maybe you just go to your child at home or something. I just think there's something more to it. I think he's going to have a good game, and maybe this just catapults him for the rest of the year.
I like it, man. It's a vibes bet. I always love when the bet's a vibes bet. You know what? Murray really going off tonight, leading the Nuggets to victory right outside of Kitchener. That would be great. That's a good story. I think the Nuggets get a win tonight, man. Knock on wood, but I think they get a win tonight, and I think Nuggets Nation can take a tiny breath after this one. That's my hope. What do we have, Super Chaz wise?
Cedric Exquisite, hashtag 3 times a charm. Vote who will be our unsung hero I want to say we see and feel Aaron Gordon tonight for the first time all season. I use the word feel because I think he's the guy in the starting lineup where you just feel his presence when he's really playing well. And I think he's kind of floated a little bit through 2 games. Obviously, he's not alone, in that, but I think he's a guy who could bring some physicality against Toronto.
I'd welcome that.
Psalm 23, Nuggets win 113-102. Jokic looks like he is packing a few extra pounds. Thoughts?
I think he had a very long summer with the Olympics and probably didn't work out as hard as he usually does leading up to the season, and understandably so. But I hope that is not a season-long trend. I hope that he is rounding into form. He still hit 7 threes.
Also, the world's most legendary bronze medal celebration. So I think it probably, you know what I mean?
One night.
It wasn't just that he played, it's that they won a bronze. Orange Sodas. First win and first Munder tonight, everyone.
Let's go.
Let's do this.
Bring in the vibes.
Let's
Guys,
do it.
Nuggets in Toronto. Season's still young. Let's see what we see out of our Nuggets today. Hit that like button for us. We'll see you on the other side.
We all silly like the mayor.